I need everybody to stand up really fast, actually. I'm very concerned about your health today. And so I've got a little, computer ain't gonna work, there we go. I got a little exercise for everybody. Take your hand like this, put it down here, and go like this, really fast. Okay, and then take this one and do the same thing. Okay, so while I'm telling the story, I want you to remember to do that because your jaw's gonna hit the floor and I don't want anybody hurt. Okay, so remember that, you can sit down, I'm just messing with you. God bless you guys today. I'm going to share some things with you today that, as Pastor already said, is possibly disturbing to some of you. It's going to be kind of shocking. But I want you to remember that the grace of God is what brought us through this. By the grace of God, nobody would be here, right? Would you agree with me? All right. I would like to first off thank those two that are in this aisle, that are in the ministry here. My father, Kenneth Godwin, my mom, Kathy Godwin, who have seen hell in me that you couldn't believe. And they've loved me through it all. And I forgot to do something already. Oops. Sorry about that. I got to get this for the radio show, so you guys forgive me for a second here. I want you guys to understand everything that I say. Y'all can ask them and verify it. So I'm not going to tell you any stories or anything like that aren't true. And I don't want to keep this too long, and I don't want to revel in the negative too long and too much. But I do need you to get an understanding of what I went through, and the reason is because this is an area that is so demonically oppressed that you can't even imagine how demonically oppressed this area is. It's insane. I live in Texas, and it's a little bit different there. Everyone in the state of Texas is saved. Just ask them; they'll tell you. They really are. With a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other. But anyhow, but over here it's a little bit different. It's quite a bit different. In fact, when we were in L.A., I was just with the Way of the Master in L.A., Kirk Cameron and all them guys, and we got told off a few times. It was kind of interesting. I haven't had that experience in a while. Usually people in Texas know how to get rid of you. Oh yeah, I did that. I got saved. It's cool. And they walk away. So let me share with you my story. Many years ago, I was born. Okay. When I was a very young child, I had a very sweet spirit. I was a very nice kid. I was a very loving kid. I loved God. I don't know why, but I did. And I had one desire in life, and that was to be a preacher. That's what I wanted to do. And don't you know the devil knows these things too, doesn't he? And the devil made sure that he could do everything he could to destroy that ability in my life. And my dad was in the military, and we got to move around. We born and raised, born not raised, but in Ohio. And we got out of Ohio and went to a place called New York. You guys know of it, right? Buffalo, New York, where the snow is deeper than children. It's terrible up there. And I met a fella, an 18-year-old. I'm not in Texas now, so I have to be correct here. African American. We say it differently in Texas, so it's just, but anyhow. He was 18 years old, who decided that using me as a sex toy would be the thing to do. And so he did so. Needless to say, the desire to be a pastor left my mind pretty quickly, because I was so twisted in the head from being molested by this guy that I forgot about all that, to be really honest. And those things kind of tend to, mellow out a little bit, but they're always there with you. We moved around a lot, and we finally got to go to Germany, and I was the biggest nerd you've ever met in your life. That was bad. I mean, it was really, really bad. The only thing I did have down really good is telling people off and running as fast as I could home, because before they beat me up, So I had a pretty bad life in school there. Had a lot of abuse from school. Kids are the hardest. I mean, they're just vicious, aren't they? They're really vicious to each other. And it was there that I found something inside me that I didn't know was in there, but I believe was implanted in me when I was molested by this guy. And some of you might not understand how this works, but when something like that happens to you, it opens your life up to demonic presence in your life. And I had a fellow who just tormented me on a regular basis. And one day was one day too many. And he kicked me in the kidney. And I went insane, quite literally. picked him up, slammed him on a table, and started choking him to death. And nobody was going to stop me from it. It was a demonic possession thing. I completely blacked out, and all I wanted to do was kill him. It took 2 male teachers to get me off of him, and I was only in the 6th grade. I wasn't a very big kid either. So I found out something interesting when we did that. Acting crazy works. People leave you alone when you act insane. So that kind of stuck with me a little bit. And we left there. We came to Alabama. Other things happened there, but nothing of any importance. We came to Alabama, and I want the parents in here to listen very, very closely to some of the things that I'm saying. Because if you don't, you got a good chance of your children going the same direction I did. You don't want that. I can guarantee you that one. When I got to Alabama, you know how you want to fit into everybody, you know? And I met a kid who helped me fit in. He found out what cigarettes was all about. That was cool. All right, now I'm cool. I'm smoking. Then he showed me what alcohol was about. Didn't like it much, but that's okay because everybody else was doing it. Then he introduced me to another 18-year-old man who hung his pictures upside down in his bedroom. I thought that was kind of odd. I was going, why is the airplane upside down? And he would tell me, it's cool when you're stoned to look at it. I went, that's great. What's stoned? I thought maybe like you got hit in the head with a rock and it looked really cool when it was upside down. I didn't know. I really did. Well, he took me out into the woods one day and he introduced me to what stoned was all about. And I got high for the first time. Now, they say that marijuana is not addictive, but I got bad news for you. That's not exactly true because it is addictive here. You enjoy the high, and I did, big time. So I started smoking dope. So now I'm smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, and smoking dope, and I was in the 7th grade. That's pretty young, right? All right. Well, then I found a new friend. This is, parents, listen to this very carefully. This new friend had a really cool mom. She was the coolest mom I ever met in my life. She was so cool. She played games with us when we spent the night. The game was called Dungeons and Dragons. Has anybody ever heard of that game? Yeah. Unfortunately, the kids are raising their hands right now, which really concerns me. Dungeons and Dragons is not a game, folks. Dungeons and Dragons was created and designed by some of the highest Satanists in the world. It was not designed as a game. It was designed to suck your children into the occult. And that's exactly what it did to me. I became a high priest in Satanism already, that fast, boom, just like that. Had a little coven. His mom and all of the kids in that area were under me because I became powerful quickly through Dungeons and Dragons. It's not a good idea to let your children play magic games at all. In fact, the Bible says very clearly that you're not supposed to have anything to do with any kind of divination, any kind of witchcraft of any sort. And I'm standing here as living proof as to why that's the case. Because we are already born with a fallen nature. Do you agree? You don't have to teach a child how to lie. They already figured that out. You don't have to teach somebody how to steal a piece of candy. They can figure that one out on their own. They have that nature already. And when you add that demonic realm to it, that nature intensifies in a way you can't even understand. There were some other things that had happened to me while I was in Alabama. What that man had done to me when I was in New York started to grow within my own mind. And I started to become addicted to a lot of weird, different sexual things. Now, I don't want to go into any kind of details there. You can just understand that. And so eventually we finally moved from that place to California, which I spent most of my life here in Hurlong, which you guys probably know where that is. And it isn't any better there, folks. It's pretty bad there.